the Russian Arctic, in an area where they say there is an invasion of polar bears going on, where over 50 of these bears have been showing up in populated urban areas throughout the past several weeks, looking for food and harassing individuals. Now, it's one thing if you have raccoons showing up on the property, possums, things of that nature, but when you start...
All right. Hurtling towards Russia.
It's time for the ultimate sleep number.
Oh, what'd I do? What'd I do? Go away.
Per event on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses your movement
God damn it.
and automatically adjusts to keep you both comfortable. Save 50% on the sleep.
Come on. I can't type like this. So, trying to see, an Arctic island, so that's north. So, where's, let's just see. Several bears in the Siberian Arctic. I've seen over 70 bears during the denning season. So, very swarming. So, moles that use magnetic north. Magnetoreception. That's what it's called. Are sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. So, reckon now again. From a noon position, using only information that one's own speed and direction. This is just part of Charles Darwin. This is part of the mechanism. So, we were animals dying. Animals dying from nothing. He would. So I think that could be part of the reason for this, is that the magnetic poles are shifting and stuff of that nature. Magneto. Sphere and weather. Is important because it shields us from interplanetary space where the charged particles cannot easily cross the lines of the magnetic field. The result is that most of the particles in the incoming solar wind are deflected around the Earth by Earth's magnetic field. So, increase in solar wind. Sunspots are storms of the Earth's surface that are marked by intense magnetic activity and play a host to solar flares and hot gas ejections from the sun's corona. Scientists believe this number of spots on the sun cycles out over time, reaching a peak, the so-called solar maximum, every 11 years or so. Solar minimum. The sun's hydrogen alpha from August 25th, 2018, showing enigmatic sunspot AR 2720. We're currently headed towards a solar minimum forecasted to arrive in 2019 as the sun switches over from the solar cycle 24 to solar cycle 25. Old Farmer's Almanac. This is a good rewrite. So the sun 3 years ago, and storms were visible on the surface. Sunspots are disappearing more rapidly than usual as the sun prepares to enter the solar minimum. Last time the absence of sunspots was so prolonged was the Little Ice Age, which happened back in the 1600s, where Earth experienced another cold snap. Seems like we are this year, huh? First, understand that the sun normally follows sunspot cycles of roughly 11 years. Think of sunspots as storms on the sun. The cycle starts out hot with solar maximum, littered with solar storms and sunspots. When the temperature cools and we enter a solar minimum with a decrease in sunspots, then the cycle begins again. However, the current cycle, 24, which began in 2008, 2 years late, has been very strange. Its maximum in 2014 was a low sunspot peak since the early 1800s. That was followed by years of decreased sunspots until now. This past year, when we've gone weeks at a time without a single spot on the sun's face. The prior cycle, 23, also had an extended period of very few sunspots compared to any cycle this past century. We have a stake in the outcome in an op-ed that accompanied the publication of my book, The Sun's Heartbeat, or in 2011, that global temperatures are now so steadily high that even with the recent reduced rate of warm in 2010, still managed to join 1998 as one of the warmest years ever recorded. If the upcoming solar max of cycle 24 is normal or robust, I continued, and especially if El Nino follows in 2 years later. Also, as often happens, then the middle of this decade will be the hottest period since humans arrived on Earth. However, if the upcoming maximum was wimpy, as most solar researchers expect, or if the sun is now entering an extended period of low activity with another deep minimum to follow, that the best thing it could possibly do for us, such a scenario would mitigate climate change. Essentially, the sun has been buying us time. I feel like I skipped some words there. Oops. So how does this? This affects us because Earth's climate gets cooler when there are fewer solar storms. The extreme example happened between 1645 and 1715, when the normal 11-year sunspot cycle vanished. How were we measuring sunspots back then? That's what blows my mind. How they go all the way back. Anyways, this period, called the Maunder minimum, I guess, was accompanied by bitterly cold winters in the American colonies. Fishing settlements in Iceland and Greenland were abandoned. Icebergs were seen near the English Channel. The canals of Venice froze. It was a time of great hardship. So, okay, maybe I wasted our time there. So, we're just going through some stuff. I hope y'all, really check this out, start getting, familiar with this stuff. Know what's going on. So, Sage Farmer. Building self-sufficient communities to thrive in the grand solar minimum. Wow. So people are taking this pretty seriously, but there's a buck to make too. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. Love you. Be safe. Be kind. Stay strong.